What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. And in this one, we have got a good topic: how to desexualize your brain. Now, this video is a long time coming, and if you're somebody who chuckled at that, thinking, Brandon just said coming, you definitely need this video, all right? So I need you guys to stick around. Now, almost in every single video that I've made on my channel so far, I've talked about how men need to stop watching porn, men need to stop jerking off, men need to control their urges, and it almost seems like in every single video I'm talking about the fact that I'm a 24-year-old virgin, okay? And today, I'm going to ultimately give you as much advice as I possibly can to help you guys out. Because a lot of people out there struggle to see that they are living in a constant state of hypersexualization. In fact, for most people, it feels impossible to control their urges, okay? A lot of people say, is it even possible for me to live in a world where I do not satisfy my sexual desire? And I am here to tell you that it is possible and that you need this video, okay? However, there are some things that you have to understand before we get into all of this, all right? Number one is going to be that we live in a fallen world. So although I say this is how you conquer lust, you cannot fully conquer it, because at the end of the day, we live in a fallen world. We are all fallen. We are not perfect. So I want you to understand that there is no 100% success. We are all going to fall. We are all going to stumble. Number two, I believe that this enemy is so dangerous and so powerful in today's society that you need the Holy Spirit in order to ultimately see any success. Okay, I believe that in order to conquer this, you have to ask the Holy Spirit to indwell in you, all right? So I'm going to put another religious trigger here, guys, all right? There are a lot of practical tips in this information that I'm going to be talking about, but there are also a lot of tips that are based around the fact that I am a Christian, that I believe in God, that I believe that Jesus died for our sins. So if that is something that triggers you, please click off the video. Number three, I need you to focus on counting your wins. This is something that a lot of people neglect, all right, when it comes to their battle against lust and pornography. Less frequency is an improvement. Less frequency is a win. I need you to have the one more day mentality. If you've ever watched Hacksaw Ridge, a man by the name of Desmond Doss saved man after man after man in the middle of a battle. So many people were going down, but whenever he would drag a person back to safety, he would just tell himself, please, get me one more. Get me one more. I need to go out and get one more person, just one more. And he ended up dragging tons of people to safety. I need you to have that same exact mindset, asking God, pleading with God, asking him for one more day where you are able to conquer lust, one day where you are able to ward off the devil, okay? That is number three. Please count your wins. Number four, something that I really need you to understand is that despair is ultimately failure. Despair is what the devil wants, all right? Failure is not just choking the chicken, all right? It's not giving in. It's not losing your streak. Failure is also being completely enveloped in despair and not seeing a way out. So you have to understand that, all right? This is a tightrope walk. I want you to understand that you are not alone, okay? When you fall into that despair, you have the mindset of a loser, okay? You can't have a losing mentality here. I need you to have a winning mentality. I need you to put your current situation in perspective and understand that some of the greatest kings in history, some of the greatest people in history, some of the greatest nations in history fell into disarray because of lust. Think about Troy, all right? The city of Troy, ultimately brought to ruin because of Paris's lust, all right? Think about people in the Bible. David, Solomon, great kings, men after God's own heart, and yet they still stumbled, they still fell. So understand just how big of an enemy you are up against. Put that in perspective every single day. Do not fall into despair and continue to count your wins. All right, now let's get into the actual steps to freedom. All right, and the reason why I labeled these as steps to freedom is because when I say this, our society ultimately likes to say that true freedom is being able to do whatever you want, as much as you want. As much as I want to do it, I'm going to do it. That's true freedom. All right? We live in an upside down world. People look at religion, they look at discipline as restriction. All right? True freedom is found in discipline. It is found in the ability to control yourself and the ability to do good. Because a lot of the time, we know what the good is, we know what we need to do, but we don't do it. So true freedom is having the ability to do what is hard, what we know that we should do. Having true freedom is being able to live in accordance with the will of God, not by our own desires. True freedom is ultimately following habits. And that's why habits are so powerful. Control and discipline is true freedom. It's not the ability to sleep with whoever you want. It's not the ability to watch as much porn as you want, to be able to jerk yourself off as many times as you want. That's not true freedom. That's imprisonment. So we live in an upside down world. Do not buy into society's definition of freedom. And number one, we are going to start off with an incredibly important point, which is going to be in a deficit. Now you might say, really, Brandon? Seriously? This is your first point? Yes, it's my first point, all right? I'm a fitness coach. At the end of the day, I'm always going to be coming at things from the perspective of a fitness coach, all right? My mission has always been to show others how fitness and nutrition can benefit every single aspect of their life. The discipline and the consistency that they learn from practicing regular restriction when it comes to their nutrition and working out every single day bleeds positively into every single aspect of their life. All right? And so why do I tell you to be in a deficit? Well, a deficit is essentially when you are eating less calories than you are burning in a day. All right, so you need to be burning more calories than you're eating. What this does is it creates an energy deficit, all right? And when you have less energy, you have less desire, because desire is ultimately for reproduction. Your caveman brain is thinking, how can I further my line, all right? How can I make sure that I have kids, that I have a generation of people after me that are going to carry on my name, continue, the health and the, what would you call it? The success of the tribe, all right? This is caveman brain. But if you have less energy, you will notice less desire. This is something that I have practiced personally since I was a young man. I always realized that when I was cutting, when I was in an energy deficit, I was so much less tempted. My sexual desire was so much lower because your body doesn't have all this extra energy. It's more focused on surviving. It's like, hey, there's not a whole lot of food, so I'm not going to be thinking about having sex very much. All right? Now, most people in society today need to lose fat. Most people need to be in shape. That's why I'm so successful as a fitness coach. There are a lot of people out there. Go look at the transformations from clients on my Instagram. They lose so much weight. They go from fat to absolutely shredded, like 6 packs, brimming with self-confidence, completely change who they are as a person, their habits, everything. Most people need to lose fat. Most people are overweight. So use a caloric deficit as a tool, okay, if you are somebody that needs to lose fat. But at the same time, understand that if you're skinny, you can't really use this. You know, you should be eating more probably, trying to put on muscle. So this is going to be one of those ones that you just really can't use. The majority of you guys can use it. The majority of you guys need to get in better shape. A lot of you guys should check out the links in the description where you can apply to work with me for one-on-one fitness coaching. But if you're skinny, you're just simply not going to be able to use this one, all right? And what I also want you to understand is that gluttony is directly tied to sexual desire. All right? I can tell you from personal experience, when I have a cheat meal, I think, bro, I should just nut right now. I should nut after this cheat meal because I ate something that I wasn't supposed to eat. It wasn't a part of the plan. I'm not as disciplined as I normally am. I'm not sticking to my positive habits. I should just get a nut in, you know? Let's keep these good times rolling. That's literally what I wrote. Because after you get one dopamine hit, you're like, oh, all that food tasted so good. Let's keep the good times rolling, man. Let's bust a nut. That's another way that I could get a bunch of dopamine really, really fast, all right? What I want you to understand is that your life as a man is a constant tightrope walk between rest and comfort and sloth and degeneracy, all right? So when you're walking, you're trying to, get a little bit of rest. You're trying to have a comfortable day. You're trying to relax because comfort in and of itself is not wrong. But what you have to understand is that it quickly turns into sloth and degeneracy. So this is a tightrope walk that every single man is walking. I used to run into the problem where I would beat my meat on Sundays after church. What is that? Sunday's supposed to be the day of rest, right? So I'm just sitting there, not really doing much, just kind of hanging out, watching TV, bumming out on the couch, watching sports, I'm in a very parasympathetic state. At the end of the day, this is where things get incredibly challenging. And I had to implement more activity on my Sundays in order to combat this. This is terrible. You're literally going to church, and then right after church, you're going home and you're trying to relax. You're trying to have a good day. You're trying to do this, but you fall off the tightrope. You fall right into sloth and degeneracy. So understand that you have to be so incredibly careful with your leisure time. You have to be so incredibly active with it. In warding off, making sure that you are not slipping into a state of passivity, of slothfulness, all right? Number 2, all right? I want you to beware the open gates. What I mean when I say this is, if you looked at this, what I've got drawn right here, and you thought, oh, that looks like breasts, well then that is also a sign that you desperately need this video. You desperately need to desexualize your brain, because when I say beware the open gates, I am referring to your eyes, all right? That's a smiley face. Those are eyes. Desexualize your brain, all right? This is a set of eyeballs, and you need to be aware of what is coming in through the gates. I need you to constantly watch your intake of social media. All right, every single day we scroll on Instagram. People's Discover pages are full of the most beautiful women in the world in bikinis wearing nothing, all right? You go to the gym, you see women dressed incredibly, it looks like they're barely wearing anything at all. You think, how is this allowed in public? Sometimes I think that as well. You have to guard your eyes. It is up to you. That's the society that we're living in. I need you to be stronger. Beware the gates. I need you to stop fantasizing, all right? And that leads directly into point number 3, which is going to be thought control, all right? I need you to harness your thoughts. Don't let your mind and your imagination run wild. You have to harness it. You have to put a bridle on it. Replace your degenerate fantasy with helpful fantasy, all right? Your imagination is a good thing. Fantasy is a good thing. It was given to you by God for a reason. But there is a hard line between what is productive fantasy and what is degenerate fantasy. I like to think, would I have been able to resist the draw of the ring of power in Lord of the Rings? You know, would I be like Boromir, or would I have been like Aragorn? That is an example of fantasy and how it's helping me live out my life right now. Because I'm thinking, do I have the willpower to be able to resist the ring of power? Would I try to steal it from Frodo? This is just one of the many ways how fantasy is incredibly helpful. It puts you into a position. It gives you thought experiments, all right? I know that most of you guys, most of us, we wouldn't be able to resist the draw of the ring of power. Because we have a ring of power. We have a ring of power right here. And everybody's addicted to it. Everybody's addicted to watching porn online. Everybody's addicted to scrolling through their Instagrams, looking at beautiful girls. Everybody's addicted to the quick fix. None of us would be able to say no to the freaking ring of power. We need to become less like Boromir, more like Aragorn. All right? Positive fantasy. Fantasy is not bad, but it needs to be useful and it needs to be highly regulated. All right? Number 4, you need to get dopamine from somewhere else. Just like Indiana Jones, when he's switching something out, you know, he's trying to steal the gold without setting off the booby trap. He doesn't just take it, he has to go like this. He has to replace it with a bag of sand. You need to get your dopamine from somewhere else. And where is the best place to get this? It's hard work. Something that's incredibly scarce in our society. Men don't work hard. Because what I need you to understand is that sexual desire is energy. All right? This goes all the way back to point number 1 and why being in a deficit, in an energy deficit, is so incredibly helpful. Because sexual desire is energy. And it can be harnessed and used, or it can be abused. And most men abuse it, all right? So I encourage you, do hard shit. Become more active. Even if you have to manufacture adversity. Wake up early in the morning. Do a cold plunge. Take a cold shower. Put yourself through the ringer. Do hard stuff, and you will find that sexual desire just takes a back seat. It takes a back seat when you've got other things to focus on. You've got other productive things to do. You become a productive member of society when you focus that energy towards the right places. Number 5, this is going to be a huge, super crucial component. Sleep early and rise early, all right? Sleep recharges willpower and rationality. You'll notice, as days tend to go on, you tend to become more emotional. You tend to become less rational. Go to bed. Sleep sustains your virtue. That's how I want you to start seeing your sleep. Your both in quality and in quantity. It is helping you sustain your virtue. Nothing good happens past ... We've all heard that saying, and it's incredibly true, which is why you just need to go to bed. You just need to go to bed early. If you just start falling asleep early at like 10 o'clock, you'll find that it's a lot easier to control your sexual desire. When you start waking up early, you notice that it's difficult. It's something that's hard. You're doing hard shit. That is going to help you be able to control your desires. As a fitness coach, I run into this problem all the time. Late night snacking. My clients come to me and they say, dude, I'm totally fine up until 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, why are you awake at 11? You have to be up at 5 the next morning for your job. Go to bed, all right? 75% of Americans are underslept. They need to be getting more sleep. I personally will push 8.5, sometimes even 9 hours a night in order to make sure that I am the most productive version of myself that I can possibly be. And that I also have as much willpower as I can possibly have throughout the day. Number 6, I want you to see your sexual desire as a want, not as a need. In society today, they have convinced you that your sexual desire is a need. Go do what you want. This is true freedom. Express your body. Express yourself. Give in to your desires. It's not a need, people. It's not. And so many people think it is. They think, I need this. But then if they just go without it for a while, and if they start to desexualize their brain, then you quickly realize, it's very much not a need. Like even when the desire comes over you, it's so incredibly powerful that you're overwhelmed. And you're like, I need this like I need to breathe air. It's not true. It's not real. You need a reality check. You are hallucinating. And even when you do get the satisfaction, that satisfaction is temporary. And guess what it leads to? It leads to increased intensity and increased degeneracy. Go look at the studies that follow men that watch porn. The longer they watch it for, the more deeply immersed they get into it. The weirder their cravings start to get, the more violent their cravings start to get. It starts to get more intense and it starts to become more degenerate the longer it goes on for. You may think that satisfaction is what you need, but it's going to come back. And it's going to come back bigger. And it's going to come back with friends. And ultimately, it's going to be a lot harder in the future to deal with this if you give in now. So wait out the storm. That's what it feels like a lot of the time. Come out on the other end and feel the relief. Go to bed early and wake up in the morning and feel the relief of, oh my gosh, I legitimately thought that I needed it in order to live last night. But this morning, my willpower, it has been restored through my awesome sleep that I got last night. I can now restart my day. I can now get in line with the habits that I know that I'm supposed to be doing. Number 7, stop seeing women as magical and sexual beings, all right? They are not. They are just people. And in fact, they are inferior when it comes to their strength. They are emotional when you are supposed to be rational. They eat like you. They walk like you. And a lot of you may not want to believe this, but they shit like you. Take women off the pedestal. We as men in society have put women on a pedestal. We worship them. We feel like we need you so much. Well, why do we feel that way? Why do we worship women? Why are men so weak? Why do so many men get walked around like a dog by their girlfriends? Why do so many husbands get walked around like a dog by their wives, like they're wearing a collar? It's because they can't control their sexual desire. And so they look at their wife, they look at their girlfriend, and they think, I need this woman or I'm going to die. That's how she gains power over you. Adam and Eve, the curse of Eve, it was literally, you shall seek to control your husband, but he shall rule over you. When you cannot control your sexual desire, you lose the respect of women. They will control you because that's ultimately what they want. That's part of their curse. Part of their desire is to be above you. But you have authority. You were given dominion as a man. So you need to stop seeing women as elevated, as above you, as something that you need in order to live. You can see this so clearly in our society through the worshiping of OnlyFans models. Like they're celebrities. People worship these women. They give these women millions of dollars. Go look up how much money OnlyFans girls make. It's disgusting. It's so terrible. But this is exactly the world that we're living in. So take them off the pedestal. All right? And before we get to the last point, I want to come into a bit of a warning. All right? Before we end things off, and I want to say that your struggle is going to increase and your struggle is going to decrease. All right? It's going to ebb, it's going to flow. There are going to be seasons where you struggle so much. There are going to be seasons where it doesn't seem like you struggle that much. And you have to understand that about your entire life. Personally, and I'm going to pour out my heart about this because I know that there's a lot of men out there that this is hopefully going to help. Post-breakup with a woman is one of the most difficult times. Because a lot of the times, you want to just get it over with. You don't want to think sexual thoughts because when you think about sexual thoughts, you tend to think about the woman that you were with. Even if you weren't having sex, when a man and a woman are together in a relationship, when they're dating, there is a sexual energy that is being transferred between them, even if you are not having sex. And post-breakup, it is incredibly, incredibly challenging to just deal with your lust because you don't want to think about them, all right? You don't want to think about them. A lot of people want to get back at the person that they used to be with, and the way that they can do that is just by getting them out of their brain. Like they don't want to let that person have power over them, and so they go for the quick fix. They go for the temporary satisfaction. So beware. When you are exiting relationships, understand that it can be sometimes the most difficult point of your entire life. So abstain from sex. That's a huge key, something that I'm going to continue to promote. But also understand that when you leave relationships, there is going to be an energy there. And at the end of the day, you need to do your best to not fall into lust during that period. And whatever you do, do not fall into despair, like I said at the very beginning. Now, the last thing that I'm really going to recommend here is going to be my point number 8. I'm honestly exhausted from making this video. I've been yelling for so long. I'm getting tired. Good thing we're wrapping this thing up. Number 8, I'm going to really, really encourage every single one of you guys to have some sort of accountability system to other men. All right, other men that you can be honest with, be honest in front of. I personally have a men's Bible group. We all hold each other very accountable to this. It really, really sucks when you mess up and you have to tell everybody in that group, hey guys, I messed up, because you feel like you let everybody down. You know, you acted on temporary satisfaction. You didn't act according to who you know that you're supposed to be. And that's a painful thing. That's a painful thing. You should feel that guilt. But at the same time, you cannot live in it. You cannot dwell in it. You cannot let that despair win, because despair is failure also. So it's up to you to walk the tightrope. It's up to you to walk the tightrope. Once again, I really, really want to encourage you guys to make slow improvements. Make steady improvements day by day. Ask God for one more, because when I first started this whole journey, when I first decided like, hey, this is something that I really, really need to be fighting against. And luckily I grew up with a dad who I was able to be honest with. Luckily I grew up with a dad who was able to bestow these types of virtues in me at a young age. And even then I still struggled. So I can't even imagine what it's like to not have a father figure that's pouring into you when you're younger. I can't imagine how lost some people may feel, like seeing porn at such a young age. I think the average male is exposed to it at 9 years old. Like, it just breaks my heart thinking about how lost some people may feel not having that strong paternal figure in their life directing them, telling them these types of things, because I was lucky enough to have this. And yet I still struggled. I still to this day have my problems. I'm so much more free. You know, back in the day, I legitimately didn't think that it was possible. But I took that one more day approach and I just kept pushing. And what you'll notice is it's almost like you start seeing life through a different lens when you are able to fully desexualize your brain. You realize that there is so much more to life, but there is also so much more sin that you have to deal with. Like there's so much more sin, but lust tends to overwhelm us and cause us to despair to the point where we're almost blind to the other sin in our life because lust seems like it's the primary enemy that we're just constantly fighting against, that we can't even win against. But then once you are, much more free, once you have the Holy Spirit indwelling in you, and you've made a whole lot of improvements, you still see that you're extremely wretched. You're an extremely wretched sinner. And you have all of these other sins that you have to deal with, but you can't let that despair get you down. You have to continue to ask for one more day. Continue to ask to try to continually get better and make progress. So I hope that you guys found this video incredibly helpful. Drop a singular thumbs up down in the comment section if you are somebody that stuck to this video all the way till the end. Because I want you to know that what you are doing is awesome and you don't have the attention span of a goldfish. You're not sitting there doom scrolling on Instagram. Instead, you're watching something that is actually productive, that is hopefully providing value to your life, and watching something that hopefully you are ultimately going to take the information and apply it to your own life. Because please remember, if you don't apply what I'm actually saying, then all of this information is useless, essentially. So drop a like on the video down below. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. For those of you that watched all the way through, drop that singular thumbs up, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Peace.